Alright everyone, E3 2015 is one for the record books. It's done and logged, everyone has come and gone, the games are known. Let's get into it! The impact factor is what happens when two scientists and two best friends get together to talk about video games. This is an episode of The Impact Factor, in case any of you were wondering. My name is Alex Samocha, and I'm joined this week, as I am every single week here on The Impact Factor, by the guy who now hopefully will buy into the current generation of consoles. I mean, I think we saw enough to convince you to at least get one of them. My co-host, Charles Fliss.
Oh man, I think 2016 may be the year that I finally take the plunge. In fact, it may even happen a little bit earlier than that. We saw some amazing looking games at E3 this year, and if those games deliver on their promises, yeah, it's gonna be time. I'm gonna have to tell my PS3 to not get too jealous of the shiny new PS4 that will be coming to my home.
It's alright. My old girl's she's still doing well, sitting in our entertainment center right next to the PS4. It's okay. They can live in harmony with one another. The PS3 and the PS4 live in harmoniously. Though with some of the news that we'll probably get into about E3, if you were on the Microsoft side, you wouldn't even necessarily need that harmony because backwards compatibility is a thing.
Yeah, whoa, backwards compatibility in this day and age? Oh man, I just don't even know how to handle this.
That's crazy. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Folks, E3 was huge. Fliss and I think we could agree here, right? It was one of the best E3s I've ever seen, and I've been following it now for at least 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely, so much great stuff, and I mean, especially in comparison to last year, which was pretty lackluster, this just blew me out of the water.
Yeah, no, it was so good, folks. We have so much going into it, and so again, you know, we had the first 5 episodes, we really got our groove. This is going to be a little bit different again, so we apologize here. There's just so much E3 to talk about. We're probably going to nix the perspective section and kind of blend it all into talking the biggest games, biggest stories come out of E3 2015. Again, for anyone who's tuning in for the first time, this is the Electronic Entertainment Expo. It's the biggest source of video game news, this big media briefing / industry event that's designed for press and those who work in the industry to kind of share their new games and get excited. So,
and hopefully we'll get even more of those patented Alex Samocha sound effects like that. Well, that was awesome. Yeah, that was great.
I need to do more of that.
Yeah, definitely. I want more of those throughout this episode.
Okay. I'll just start doing the transitions myself. Boing.
Yeah,
that's pretty good, right?
That was about. I liked it.
We could use it. How was watching E3 for you? So again, E3 takes place. It's in LA. It takes place every mid-June. This year it was starting with the 14th through the day that we're recording this, or the day before you hear this, the 18th. So it just kind of runs the whole day. So, Fliss, being on Japan time, how was that for you? Trying to keep up with all the news.
This year's E3 was one that I consumed pretty much exclusively through Twitter. I just followed everything. I would teach a class and then run back to my desk and throw open my drawer and look at my phone and be like, okay, come on, what happened? And it was really hard, right? Because I'm at work, right? So I'm kind of trying to look at this in my desk, trying to not be too obvious about what I'm doing, and then some big news break, and I'd just be like, oh, don't show how excited you are, don't go and run laps around the room because there's something called Final Fantasy, don't do that.
Oh man, for those of you radio listeners, i.e. all of you who are tuning in, Fliss was doing some crude-looking movements looking down at his crotch where his phone should have been. So maybe you're spared the video version.
You make me sound like a dirty pervert.
I mean, the folks don't know you as well as I do, so I'm just sharing with them a little piece of your personality. Let them know. I mean, podcasts are all about liking the people you're listening to, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
So Fliss is a dirty pervert.
Hold on now. I mean, I will admit that I had some rather dirty thoughts about PlayStation and how great some of those games are.
Oh my gosh. I think all of us who were watching the event did a little bit. But we have so much to talk about. This is enough of our banter. Let's get into it. The impact factor is where I bring my perspectives as a biomedical scientist and combine them with, and usually against, Fliss's social scientist worldview to have great discussions about video games. Let's just get right into it. Big news, big takeaways, E3 2015. Let's get it started right away with some news and views.
News and Views.
In an academic journal, News and Views collects the best of recent events and findings. Here, Fliss and I scour through the week in video game news to find the stories with the biggest impact. We didn't have to look too far. All the biggest news is coming from E3 2015. So I'm going to go a little bit different here. So one of the things I like to do as a scientist is to kind of look at the evidence I'm presented with. Here, that's the stories that E3 shaped for itself, and draw some conclusions from them to speak towards a truth or a trend that's taking place in the video game industry. And so, as we get into these news stories, we're going to be mainly discussing the big game stories, because E3 2015 and E3 every year is always predominantly the stories that stick are this new game release, this unannounced game, this really great looking game showcased for the first time at E3. So big games at the best of the E3s are really the big takeaways. But in looking at the game hardware companies, Xbox, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and a little bit of this PC Gamer Show, I think it's important that these hardware companies have kind of a unified and cohesive message to tell the world, us enthusiasts, us game writers, and just anyone who likes playing games, what their thoughts are for this next year in game. So as we go through these announcements, here are kind of my big takeaways, and for more details about these, please check out my blog next Tuesday. That's the impactfactor.blogspot.com, where I'll be writing a piece about kind of the synthesis and reflection of what we saw at E3 2015. So starting with Microsoft, one of their big takeaways was they had this big initiative kind of moving the Xbox One closer and closer to the future of gaming, and moving it closer to this PC infrastructure and PC architecture, which has been so important and so successful elsewhere in the gaming space. And to that extent, we mentioned it briefly, but Xbox is introducing full backwards compatibility with the Xbox One through Xbox 360 games, both digitally and retail, hard copy releases. They're also doing this Xbox Games Preview, which is something akin to Steam Greenlight, which allows you to try out games in earlier stages of development. But unlike Steam Greenlight, they allow you to have this trial period to try out a game before you buy it. And then I think the other big takeaway from Xbox and Microsoft was that they have a huge fall 2015, and honestly, in terms of exclusive properties, is the kind of console to beat. Fliss, what do you think of just over this overarching view, especially with Xbox's big fall?
Well, Xbox's big fall is a huge deal, especially given the relatively weak fall releases from the other companies, which I'm sure you'll get into for us in a bit. But moving Xbox closer to PC is definitely a great step for Microsoft, and it's honestly probably good for gamers as well. The backwards compatibility is helpful. That's a real big consumer plus. That's something that I really wish we had more with the Sony consoles. We were just joking about having our PS4 and PS3 sitting right next to each other, and that's still necessary right now. So great step there by Microsoft. And also, they're already so huge in the PC gaming world that this really makes sense for them to try and combine their communities as much as possible and say, look, if you're gaming on Xbox and your friend's gaming on PC, you can game together. And since right now Xbox is definitely losing this console generation, I think they have to do that. And moving forward, I think that's something that is a solid business plan for them.
Yeah, it's only a good thing. Yeah, they talked about that a little bit at the PC Gamer Show, how Microsoft is really putting concerted efforts with Windows 10 to bringing these cross experiential games between the Xbox One and the PC. For instance, Killer Instinct is now coming to Windows 10 PC gaming, and there's going to be cross-play between Xbox One players and PC players. So that's cool. But we'll get into all this in a little bit more detail. My big takeaway from Sony and PlayStation was that their conference, which I thought was the best press conference, maybe we can do a ranked list in our interim perspective section, was Ultimate Gamer Wish Fulfillment. Andrew Goldfarb, who is a senior news editor at IGN, had a tweet that I think perfectly encapsulated Sony's press conference, and he said, "This press conference feels like fan fiction," and it really did in every sense of the word. It's we were seeing games that so many of us never thought would be a reality. We'll get into these, and trust me, I'm going to talk at length about these. But there was this trifecta of PlayStation awesome with The Last Guardian, a Final Fantasy VII remake, and Shenmue 3 all being on PlayStation stage, which is just unreal. I mean, when the PS4 was first announced back in February of, 2013. Their number one message was that the goal is to appeal to the hardcore, and that the PlayStation is about games, games, games. And they've kind of been very, very good at sticking to this message, and they showed it here. But however, kind of in contrast with Microsoft and Xbox, they have a pretty weak fall lineup, and they're really kind of relying on third-party games to get them through 2015 as we move into their huge year of 2016.
I think it's worth noting here that when they were making these announcements, about a year and a half ago, that this was going to be the game machine, that was a big deal, because back then everyone was saying, oh, the future of consoles is being this media platform. Like, you're going to run everything, right? You know, you've got, the Amazon Fire Stick or whatever it is.
Yeah, like Fire HD or something.
There are all these things that are saying, this is the box that you will run all your entertainment through. And PlayStation kind of said, no, Sony said for their PlayStation, no, the PlayStation, you can do all this other stuff, but this is the box for your games. And you may want to buy other boxes, but this is the only box you're ever going to want to buy for games. And I think that they're delivering on that. And so, yeah, like you wrote in our show notes, games, and more games, and they're killing that right now.
Yeah. They just unfortunately have a weaker year. But 2016, if these titles that they all announced are actually coming out in 2016, oh my gosh, I cannot wait.
2016, if this is true, 2016 will be the year where I do actually succeed in putting a butt imprint in my couch.
Yeah, it'll happen. Trust me, it'll happen. So moving on to Nintendo. Nintendo had a very decidedly weak showing with not only what they showed at their Nintendo World Championships, but also with their Nintendo Direct event, which took place the morning of Tuesday, the 16th. And really, their games felt much more like stuff that they could get out. So Nintendo's focus, to their credit, much like what Microsoft did, was, look, these are the games that are coming out in the rest of 2015 and early 2016. We're not going to show you games that are late 2016, 2017, 2018. We're not going to show you any of these way away titles. Which makes sense, because Nintendo, we obviously know they're working on their next console, the NX, because Wii U is a colossal failure, dead in the water console. But these games felt weird. They felt like small, less ambitious experiences, especially from Nintendo, who is often so ambitious with their titles. It was kind of sad to see. And then, kind of in concert with that, we saw a lot of IPs that we cared about. So that's, Legend. We saw a new Legend of Zelda game. We saw a new Animal Crossing game. We saw a new Metroid game. Believe it or not,
Star Fox.
All games and Star Fox. But aside from maybe Star Fox, they're all not really the versions of those properties that we want to see. Animal Crossing was announced as this either only could be in the 3DS version looks like it only could be in your home, and the Wii U version is just like a Mario Party game. Metroid is some weird blocky co-op game where you don't play as Samus, you play as these weird robot dudes, and Zelda is like a 3-person co-op dungeon thing, and Nintendo. It was very, very disappointing.
It was very weak. Everything about Nintendo was weak this year. I saw a wonderful picture on Reddit that I think completely sums up what's happening with Nintendo right now. And it was this Wii U lovingly and artfully placed in a trash bag. Like, in the trash bag. Like, it was clear that whoever took the shot had, like, taken a nice clean trash bag, put it in the trash can, positioned the Wii U, taken the photo, and then set his Wii U back up at the TV. But it's exactly how we all feel, right? Like, we cherish this idea of Nintendo. We want to love Nintendo, and we just have to chuck it right now because there's just nothing there for us.
The Wii U is gonna be a console that ends up having like only 5 games worth owning on it. It's gonna be like Yoshi's Woolly World, Smash Bros. Wii U, Mario Kart 8, Splatoon, and that Legend of Zelda game if it's still coming on Wii U. Like, that's it. And possibly Star Fox. Though, I don't know. We can get to that. I'm not super thrilled about Star Fox. And then we'll get to the PC Gamer show. This is the PC gaming event hosted by AMD and PC Gamer. Honestly, there's not much to say there. This was awful. The event was boring, long, terrible. I guess PC gaming is entirely made up of Arma 3 mods, since there are like 6 of them shown at the event. Like, there's Daisy and the new space game made by DayZ and some South Pacific Arma 3 mod. I don't know. Maybe Bloxus can correct me, or maybe it wasn't a good representation, but that press conference was terrible. We're not going to talk much about it. Just, even the stuff they announced, they had, most of like the big exciting stuff had been shown elsewhere earlier, so, yeah.
You know, I think we've got to give them, not a free pass, but a little bit of a pass with it being the first one for them, and hopefully next year they will come back and do something that's, you know, even mildly entertaining.
I'm just saying, it was also Bethesda's and Square Enix's first press conference, and Bethesda killed it, and Square Enix, I think, did a pretty good job. So PC Gamer was behind the curve here.
All right, well, let's head on and move on
right.
from PC gaming, because other than blocks of this,
So,
no
because
one
we're
on this
console
podcast
gamers.
cares.
Consoles.
Yeah, consoles.
All right.
Woo, woo.
Consoles. Sports talk here, Mr. Sports Ball over here, missing out on a weekend of gaming with me to play freaking hoops.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know, shout out to the Warriors for winning the NBA Finals.
Go Warriors.
And I feel bad for LeBron, right? Because he was basically the most monstrous player in an NBA Finals ever. But you know, you can't win all by yourself. It's a team sport.
Nope. But anyway, E3 2015, and E3 is all about the games, and there was a lot of them. And so Fliss and I are going to highlight some of the ones that we thought had the most impact on us, on the industry, thought looked coolest, most exciting. Oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about. This is probably going to run long, folks. I apologize. Fliss, let's start. What's a game you want to talk about?
Doom!
Oh, yes. Okay, anybody who listened to the last episode knew this was probably going to be your first freaking game you wanted to talk about. Why are you excited about Doom?
Oh, because Doom looks so good, man. Oh, dude. So first of all, not only was I killing it on the points for our predictions through the Doom, you know, announcement and trailer, but oh man, it was everything I wanted, just like blood and guts and hell zombies, and it looked so fast, and like there were like 8 different ways of killing people. I'm too excited here. I gotta slow down, break this down.
Rein it in. All right, tell the folks what was shown.
Okay, so in the trailer for Doom, we see that, you know, it's a first-person shooter. They take us through, you're kind of gearing up into your Space Marine outfit. There's a nice shout-out to the cover of the original game where they show you the same helmet that was featured on your Space Marine in the original game, and then you're immediately going through, picking up different weapons, running through these levels, and man, it is just so fast, especially compared to some of the trailers that were shown later at E3, like the Call of Duty stuff and all this other stuff. Doom was noticeably faster than other things.
Though still not as fast as I would have liked. It still had that kind of heavy 3D shooter thing that we've been in. It's faster, but I would have liked it to be even more fast.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you, but I'll take what I can get right now. And, you know, but the enemies, how good did the enemies look, right? We saw all kinds of different classic enemies. We saw all these different ways of killing them, right? It's not just shooting them, but there's melee options. I mean, you squash, like, one of these hell zombies' heads. I mean, it does not get better than that.
So that's one of the things they talked about in this game of demo. So yeah, the Space Marines going through some facility, killing a bunch of demons. There's a couple of exciting things for first-person shooter players, and I assume Doom fans. At no point in any of the gameplay demos did it show him did it show the protagonist of Doom hiding behind like a wall or a barrier. They were just running straight up to the enemy, shotgunning them in the face, and then running around. And that's something that's such an endemic problem for so many different first-person shooter campaigns, especially Call of Duty, but others as well. It's basically just shooting galleries separated by narrow linear pathways, and so it sucks to be playing a first-person shooter where it's supposed to be exciting, but then I gotta go hide behind this car and then pick off people. There's a guy hiding in the window, pick him off. Oh, there's a guy hiding behind this barrier, pick him off. Oh, there's a guy running towards me, pick him off.
Yeah, and even if it is kind of on rails, which is what it kind of looked like, right? That it's a very linear pathway.
Yeah.
But it looked like there were a lot of different ways to navigate it, right? Like you could jump over certain areas, you could move through things, and no matter what it actually turns out to be like, right, it looks like there's a lot of options. And I want to focus on the options there because they're bringing us Snap Map. And Snap Map is the ability to create levels. And this is a huge step. This is why Doom is, I don't know if it's my game of E3, but it is definitely up there because this is a gigantic step for console gaming.
Yeah, so SnapMap makes Little Doom Planet, or Doom Big Planet, or Little Big Doom, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so it's
I like Little Big Doom.
Basically,
Little Big Doom. That just
Doom.
rolls right off the tongue.
Right, Little Big Doom. So yeah, it basically simplifies modding tools, because people have been modding Doom since Doom was released, essentially, making their own maps, making their own different multiplayer modes, and multiplayer is going to be a big part of Doom. They talked about that a little bit at the Bethesda press conference. But the Snap Map basically lets you put in, map elements together, like different monsters or different obstacles, or create your own little map layout, and you can tweak rules. So they described. And just like these multiplayer modes described with using the SnapMap tool, you could create a mode, something akin to Treyarch Zombie mode, where you and other players kind of kill demons and collect money that you can use to buy upgrades and move and stuff. Anyone who's played the Treyarch Zombie mode knows kind of how that goes. It's kind of like a horde mode, but then you also have this whole kind of other aspect of it. And they also described a horde mode where you and a bunch of friends just face wave after wave of enemy, like traditional horde mode, like something that was introduced in Gears of War originally, but now is pretty much a staple of any third or first person shooter franchise. They throw in that horde mode. Even Destiny added it recently.
We've talked about this on this podcast before, but I'm not a huge first person shooter player. For one thing, I play them too long and I start getting motion sick. It's just something that happens to me.
And because you suck.
Hey, hold on now. Shots fired. Here, we'll see who sucks when Doom comes out.
All right.
And that is a challenge.
Yeah, well, when Doom comes out, you're still not going to have a PS4, brother.
Hey, we talked about 2016, the year of the PS4.
Yeah, but then who knows, the possibilities of SnapMap. Maybe you could even create whole entire co-op campaigns or even single-player campaigns that you could share online because you designed whole level layouts. And I think SnapMap addresses one of the key problems of a lot of different first-person shooters, is just that once you play through the main content and once you kind of get used to the grind and the flow of the standard multiplayer team deathmatch or whatever, so many, there's only so much there and they get stale, and more people are kind of weighing their investment in a game by dollars per hour, or how much value do I get by buying this game. And SnapMap is Doom's way of saying, you'll have a great single player experience. We have our own very closely designed, we spent a lot of effort working on a fun multiplayer that brings back to the old kind of fast Doom/Quake shooting days. But also, hey, if that's not enough content for you, I'm sure we'll have lots of people making new content for you, endless content for you guys to keep playing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying here, right? I don't really play first-person shooters a lot, but this is one where I can look at this and say, this is going to be a game that I will want to play sitting alone by myself, and this is a game that I'm going to want to play with my friends online, and this is a game that I'm going to want to play with my friends when we're all sitting around on my couch. That is awesome. That is perfect. That is everything I want from a game. And I don't really agree with the dollars per hour like you were just talking about.
Yeah, I completely disagree
because
with you.
I think it limits creator abilities to tell interesting stories and show new games, even if it's in a shorter fashion, which I want to support. We'll talk about that more later. But I'm excited about this game. I think that SnapMap is something that consoles needed, right? I can already hear Vloxidus's voice saying, oh wow, consoles getting mods, woohoo, and that's something, but he's absolutely right, and that's something that PC has had for a million bazillion years, and so getting that on consoles, getting that on a first-person shooter is amazing. I mean, look at what happened with Team Fortress 2, and the way that game will not die, and that's because of the community. That's because of the community making maps, making new game modes, creating mods, and so, give me a Doom game that will not die. That's what I want. I want a Doom game that will not die.
Just like the Revenants and the Undead and the Demons and stuff. And we'll talk about this more in a little bit, but more mods are making their way to consoles too in the form of Fallout 4. But we'll get to that. So Bethesda's obviously invested in bringing a mod like actual mods and mod-like things with SnapMap to console. So we got to move on. I know you're excited about Doom, but the one last thing I did want to say about Doom is that one of the things that you mentioned, there's melee moves. There's a bunch of contextual melee finishers, which is awesome. Like you said, one of the best one, which I just have to mention because it's so cool, is your Space Marine goes up, punches a demon in its head, it explodes in two, and he rips out the two sides of the head, and you have the tongue sticking out there and flapping in the middle of this now headless demon.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
That game is going to be over the top gore.
And you know what's great about that for me, right, is like you're killing these demons with this over the top gore. So it's not even like Mortal Kombat, right, where you maybe have like a little I just did that to a person kind of thing. Like no, it's guilt free.
They're demons.
It's guilt free. You can just
they're evil.
Yeah, it needs to be done. You needed to rip that head open.
Yeah, man. All right, I've got to get right into this. I was gonna try to maybe go in chronological order, but I can't. Let us talk about this trifecta of PlayStation awesome. Oh my god, this PlayStation press conference was ultimate wish fulfillment. I'm in shock. I get goosebumps every time I watch some of these trailers. I can't, like, even, if you listen again, I recorded reactions at the end of each of E3's days that had press conferences. So by my nomenclature, day 0, day 1, and day 2. But by official nomenclature, I guess, day -1, day 0, and day 1, but whatever.
This guy, I hope you listened to those. You should. They're entertaining, they're fun. Alex says some great things on them. But this guy talked about this trifecta of PlayStation awesome. He talked about it the way, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, he talked about it the way that, like, most men talk about, like, their favorite actress, or the way they describe, like, the beauty of their favorite sport, or the way they describe the purr of an engine's roar. No. For this guy, and I totally support you in this, brother.
This is better.
Yeah, man. Just you gotta listen to him. There's nothing but pure passion in his voice when he talks about these games.
So check out the link in the description, whether you're seeing this on SoundCloud or on iTunes or on YouTube if you're there already. But check out the YouTube. I've recorded the episodes. They're all there. You can hear my kind of unfiltered, spur-of-the-moment thoughts at the end of each of the days leading up to it. But, oh my gosh, it's okay. Sony opened their press conference with The Last Guardian. I gotta... Okay, enough. I'm sorry for all you listeners. I just had to process. I had to rein myself in a little bit. The Last Guardian is a game I've been anticipating for years and years. I think it was first shown back when, like, the PS3 was still relatively new. I don't even know, like 2007 or something. It's been almost a decade since we've even seen The Last Guardian, and, like, no one even saw the demo. The Last Guardian is by Fumito Ueda, whose first 2 games are masterpieces. They're brilliant, they're beautiful, they're powerful, they're evocative, they're interesting.
You're running out of adjectives.
Yeah, no, they're peerless. No other games like them. So if you haven't played Ico, which is a great game, there's some kind of gameplay, kind of control faults make it harder. It doesn't hold up as well as his second game, Shadow of the Colossus, which is the best game of all time. It's my favorite game of all time. I think if you play through that game, there's no way you can't at least appreciate what Ueda was trying to do. And honestly, games are all about iteration and replication and taking what works and making it work. Ueda invented a game genre and a game idea that's unlike anything else before it and unlike anything else since. There's no Shadow of the Colossus-like game that exists other than Shadow of the Colossus. And so Ueda's vision and Ueda's just inspirations and everything look to be maintained. So this Last Guardian trailer they showed now looks very similar to the one we saw all those years ago. It retains the same kind of beauty and wonderment and this relationship between a boy and this kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, chimera. I would call it like a griffin, but it's a weird hybrid of a bunch of different things, some sort of monster. But like from Ueda's games, there's going to be this interesting relationship between the two. It's going to explore human emotions in a very simple and understated kind of way.
But Alex, I can already tell you how the game ends.
Okay, no, the monster or the boy is not going to die.
That's how the game ends. One of them dies.
No.
One of them dies. One of them dies. That's how the game ends. One of them dies.
Hey, well, you'll see. You'll see.
Once you play through Shadow, be a twist ending. Maybe he'll Shyamalan you, and both of them will die.
Don't put Shyamalan and Ueda in the same sentence, you jerk. Oh man, one of them is a talentless hack, and it's not Ueda. Anyway, I maintain to this day that Shyamalan stole Sixth Sense. He must have.
Well, given his track record since then, that is an excellent conspiracy theory. Like, as conspiracy theories go, that is a great one.
But please, watch this gameplay. It's 6 minutes. I find it hard-pressed not to be touched by what you see, or at least impressed by what it doesn't look like any other game out there. This is a game that has such a long history. It was almost a vaporware, so that's like an official term, like a game that gets worked on and just kind of disappears into the void, never to be seen again. But it's real. It's coming in 2016. Ueda's still at the helm. There was some talk that maybe that Ueda and Sodi had kind of had a falling out and that he wasn't really affiliated with the project anymore, which made me nervous. But he's back. There's been some talk that Mark Cerny, the architect of the PS4 and kind of co-creator of a bunch of old franchises like Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation, is really kind of old head in the PlayStation family, is hoping to make The Last Guardian a reality. It looks awesome. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
As much as I like to tease Alex about his fanboying out about this, I would encourage you to sit down and take, I think it's about 7 minutes long, watch this trailer. Yeah. It is really very much like watching a work of art move. It does look like a work of art you can play, and that's incredible. I don't really know how it's going to actually work out in terms of controls, just seeing the gameplay we saw there, but it looks really cool, and I'm excited to see what happens with this game.
And if you're listening to this podcast, please send us emails at impactfactorpodcast@gmail.com or hit Fliss up on Twitter @thecfliss and tell him that he needs there's so many games that he needs to play, but I just learned recently he has never played through Shadow of the Colossus, which is a tremendous oversight. For someone who claims to be someone who's into games.
I have owned the Ico and Shadow of the Colossus HD collection since it came out, and I have not been able to play it.
But then, if that wasn't enough, that could have been enough for me just to have Sony win. It's, oh my god, it's been my most anticipated game at every E3 for at least 4 or 5 years. But then, we got a trailer for a Final Fantasy VII remake.
Oh my god!
What?
Oh my god!
Like, The Last Guardian, I thought, might be vaporware, but this, wasn't even vaporware. This was something that fans always demand for, because people are like, oh, I love Final Fantasy, I want Final Fantasy VII, let's see it again. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, they're gonna do that. But no, they're doing it! In some way. Square Enix is working with someone. There's early reports are that they're working with CyberConnect, which are the team behind some of the classic, well, maybe not classic, more cult or PS2 RPGs .hack series, which I played and enjoyed. And it looks like it looks to use the Final Fantasy 15 engine, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So they're remaking Final Fantasy 7. This trailer, if you're a Final Fantasy 7 fan, you know, very early on, they're showing everything. There's a slide. You see Barrett's arm and Cloud in the end. Oh my god, it's so powerful because it speaks perfectly to what everyone has wanted for so long. And I even have some friends who I know who are big Final Fantasy 7 fans that can't even believe that it's real. They're like, what? Is this real?
The amount of disbelief running out on Twitter, on Facebook, of people just being like, is this a prank? Are people just making this up on the internet? No one can believe it. It's too good to be true. Like, this is genuinely one of those things that is too good to be true.
But it also frustrates me. I'm like, people are like, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm like, you did see it. They showed a trailer. This is a real thing.
But Alex, that's because
like, well, maybe
you and I, we're believers. We're believers. Like, we will believe that this game is coming until it doesn't.
They announced it, and they're like, well, maybe there's just a reimagining. No, it didn't say reimagining, it said remake. They're remaking it.
Yeah, and that's something that excites me, because I hopefully they will take some things in that game and improve them. Hopefully they won't make things in that game worse, but I like the idea that it is a remake, that it's not like a remaster. This is a remake, and that's something they stressed, and that's something that I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be interesting, because are they going to keep the exact same combat system from the other one? I think the combat system would still be perfectly functional in today's, in today's environment, but it's going to be weird seeing these high-resolution character models just kind of, standing there waiting for their turn to happen.
I would still play it.
But I think that's what I want. But we've seen, stuff like Advent Children, which was the movie, where they're all teleporting around and going crazy. Maybe they're going to try and do a more action-based combat system.
Do we have to talk about that movie?
Which makes me nervous, because we already have action-based combat in Final Fantasy 15. I don't want to, if they do something with the battle system, just make it maybe look prettier. Maybe they can move around a lot, but you still control it the same way or something like that. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. There's no details. PlayStation, this is a coming to PS4 first title, but not a permanent exclusive, so it means it will be on at least Xbox One. I wouldn't be surprised if it made its way to PC as well. It's so exciting. I want to know more about it. They announced that we're going to hear more details about it this winter. So that's exciting. Because if they're sharing it with us here and then more details in winter, and because it's not Square Enix themselves, I have faith that maybe it might even come out, in 2017. It could be sooner than we think, because I think they would really be shooting themselves in the foot to announce a game that all they have is that trailer,
Right.
That would seem way, way, way premature. Because especially because they're showing The Last Guardian, like, they didn't need this other explosion of, crazy fan,
But what a
game.
huge win for Sony. You mentioned it is a timed exclusive on PlayStation. It will be moving over to other systems, other platforms. But what a huge win to just be able to show this as part of their press conference, to say this will be at least a temporary exclusive on PS4. Just what a way to just beat down the competition.
Because we don't even know, like, there's not talking how long this exclusivity is. So, like, are you going to wait as a Final Fantasy VII fan to play it somewhere else because you don't have a PlayStation 4? I don't think so.
And Final Fantasy VII
really
fans, and Final Fantasy fans in general, but especially people who are hardcore about their Final Fantasy
especially
7,
7.
are just, I say this as one of them, like, we're total wackos. Like, we all have been waiting for this game for forever, and no one's going to want to wait.
Yeah. And I like Final Fantasy VII. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy.
What is your favorite Final
but
Fantasy?
I'm excited for it. 6. It's the best one by far.
I think Patrick would have issue with you there.
8 is the worst. No, it's not the worst, but come on, 8 is so bad. Except I saw, like, Shuhei Yoshida, president of Sony Worldwide, Final Fantasy 8 is his favorite Final Fantasy too, so maybe I'm just crazy.
The two are not mutually exclusive.
It's true. And then this last of the trifecta, because we have so much to go to here, Shenmue 3 is coming out. They brought Yu Suzuki on stage, the creator of Shenmue, and if you don't know, it's this kind of this kind of semi-open world RPG that explores characters and basically had this unique following because it was one of these first very character-driven kind of deep systems that was interesting, and people were huge fans of it. I think Shenmue 2 was on the Dreamcast. But this is a game people have been clamoring for forever because the game was so successful and so interesting, and I have never played any of the Shenmue, so I can't comment on this as much, but this is one of those, again, if Final Fantasy VII Remake was like just a fan dream, this was like a fan daydream, like not even as fully fleshed out as a dream. Like, no one saw this coming, no one anticipated this, but then, boom, Yu Suzuki on the stage, they counted down to when the Kickstarter launched to bring Shenmue 3 to the PlayStation. And this is probably a topic for a different time, because the goal is $2 million, or was $2 million, I should say. The $2 million was reached within 9 hours, which is insane. It's the fastest Kickstarter in history. They just posted some stretch goals. They're making a lot of money. But one of the weird things about it is Shenmue 2 cost $45 million to make, and then Sony has announced that they're helping to bankroll Shenmue 3, so it's kind of weird, like, why they would have to go to Kickstarter in the first place. There's some weird stuff going on with it, but regardless, people are happy because Shenmue 3 is going to be reality now. It's funded on Kickstarter. People are going to get Shenmue 3 in some capacity for PS4. It's a PS4 and PC title. So again, this is a console exclusive to PS4.
I
crazy.
Think that this is part of this kind of paradigm shift in the way Kickstarter is being viewed by major companies, where they are using it as a way of securing a little bit of buffer funding, but more than that, they're using it as proof of interest, something to show to the investors, something to show that kind of giving executives numbers on a page where they can say this many thousands of people donated to this Kickstarter, so we basically have this many thousands of pre-orders before the game is even made, and that's a proof of interest. And while we're on the subject of Kickstarter, I want to encourage everybody to look at an actual game that needs Kickstarter funding, which is Perception. It's a game we talked about 2 weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, and it's a really cool-looking, innovative horror game. Gamers are always saying they want to see innovative systems. This game looks like it will be, at best, incredible, and at least innovative. And so they still need to get about 20% of their funding with less than a week to go. So please, we'll put the link to their Kickstarter in our notes here in our description. Please take a look at it. Consider donating. They're getting me. This is going to be the first Kickstarter that I will have ever backed. So please consider giving it a look.
Wow, that's a big feat.
Yeah, it's a huge step for me. I'm going up to the t-shirt level. Gotta get me an exclusive t-shirt. But I want to see this game. I want this game. It is a game that, as one person described on Twitter, and I really liked this, it's a game that I'm really excited about playing in the middle of the afternoon on a sunny day with the windows open and all the lights on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it looks like it's scary. We talked about it last time. Was this Deep End Games? Give them your support. There's a lot of games like this that unfortunately don't get funded. Like The Black Hand is another game that looked really interesting but didn't get funded because it is a new IP, and I think Kickstarter is a great way to fund new IPs, and so, if it leaves a bad taste in your mouth that games like, Shenmue 3 are eating up, millions of Kickstarter dollars, just go
salty about it.
just go support interesting games. I think Perception. I'm really excited for Perception. I really hope it gets funded. But Shenmue 3, I get what you're saying with the going to Kickstarter to show interest, but what you're referring to is Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, which is different because it seems like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night had investors that wanted to show interest, but this is Sony. Like, Sony is the company. Sony could bankroll this game, and so it's weird. There's this weird thing anyway, but I don't want to suck any excitement out of it. Regardless of whatever weirdness is happening with Sony and using Kickstarter and Shenmue 3, it's happening now. It's funded. It's going to come out as a console exclusive on PlayStation 4. This is a game people have been clamoring for forever. I've never played it, so I don't personally know like the excitement people feel, but I can just kind of osmose the excitement from the world around me and like get excited for this game, and I'll try it out. Why not? Sure.
Actually, Alex, isn't osmosis only water?
Fine, I'm absorbing. There we go.
Oh yeah, corrected you about science on the podcast.
Right.
That's a big win.
Look at this guy thinking he knows something about biology.
That's a big win. That may be the only thing I remember from biology class, but I'm going to take it.
You weren't so bad at bio.
To be fair, I totally get what you're saying about Shenmue 3. It's a game that a lot of people are clamoring for, and I too, I haven't played Shenmue 1 or Shenmue 2, so it's not something I have that nostalgia for. Maybe if I did, I would be less salty about them using Kickstarter in this maybe somewhat sneaky way to get some extra funding for their game. But, letting the fans participate, that's cool. If people want to vote with their dollars, that's cool too. Just don't let new IPs from great developers die on Kickstarter when they need, less than a tenth of what they're asking for to fund Shenmue 3.
They only need $35,000 or $40,000.
Yeah, their original goal was $150,000, and they're down to only needing something like $30,000 now. So please click over there. Consider giving him $5 to make a great game.
Okay, what's another game that you're excited for, Fliss? We got a trifecta of PlayStation Awesome, Last Guardian, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Shenmue 3, Sony wins, Best Press Conference. Fliss, your next choice.
Yeah, before we move on, I just want to totally agree with you. Yeah, Sony wins Best Press Conference.
They win.
We agree
they
with
win.
that. All right, let's move
win.
on to another game that we talked about games that look like art. Unravel, smaller game, looks really cool, looks beautiful, and what an introduction. They had the creative director, kind of the guy who kind of came up with the whole idea for this game, come out on stage. That's Martin Saline. He came out there, and man, you want to talk about E3, there's just so many people that are slick, so many celebrities, so many people who professionally introduce things, and this guy, he came out there and he was almost shaking. I mean, you could see it.
Oh no, he was. When they zoomed in on his hands, that dude was trembling like crazy.
And you could hear it in his voice. He was just so excited. He was telling people there that he's excited about introducing his game, and he's nervous as all get out. And they put the image for the game, which is this little red character who's made of yarn. His name is Yarny, right? I got that right? Yes.
That's correct. Yeah, he's Yarny.
Yarny, he's up there and he's kind of got his little yarn strings going all over the place. And then out from under his jacket, Celine comes out with the original Yarny. The Yarny that started...
The inspiration for the main character.
Right, this little doll, probably what? What do you look like? About a foot big, maybe?
Yeah, maybe a foot tall, yeah.
And, he said that he just had this idea when he was on vacation with his family 2 summers ago. They're putting up pictures of, his kids playing in the lake. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know.
And then him making this doll out of, a wire frame that he then wrapped up and then, went around this outdoor area taking pictures. And that's where the inspiration from this game comes from. And so it looks like it's going to be kind of maybe a Little Big Planet style-esque platformer where you're kind of trying to move from one end to the level to the next. So that looks awesome. The gameplay, again, I think it reminded me of Little Big Planet because it's on this very small scale, right? It's a Yarny size.
Yeah.
Where there's one point in the gameplay trailer where they show you you run into this rodent that is terrifying because it's bigger than you are. And one of the things that really struck me about that, right, because we're talking about getting a kind of genuine touching style of game here, and definitely having the creative director come out to introduce it was a great way to emphasize that. But by having this small scale, by having, like ravens be dangerous, by having, buttons be something cool again, I think it's a great way to have a wish fulfillment for all of us of kind of going back to get in touch with that. It sounds corny, but to get in touch with that inner child, right? Because when you go back to that smaller scale, that reminds you of childhood when everything was bigger compared to you.
Exactly. It puts you back in the mindset of when you were a kid, where there's wonderment in every corner of your world around you. A big raven can be terrifying. A button you find on the ground is interesting. A mole or a groundhog or whatever it is can be this cool, like, overlord, and it really evokes imagination. One of the ways they described Yarny is whenever he moves, because he's made of yarn, he leaves a string of yarn behind him. He kind of unravels as he moves. And then how that kind of relates to, as you're moving through life, you weave a path through, like, the choices and the decisions you make. And you can, like, in a level of Yarny, because there's also puzzle elements in this platformer, and moving around to try and solve this puzzle, you're going to create this intricate lattice of yarn that you leave behind because you had to jump all around and do all this stuff. And then you could look at that lattice work and be like, wow, where do I even start here? Where did I come from? How did I get to where I am now? And that's really powerful. No, Unravel really stole the show from EA's decidedly terrible press conference. It felt genuine and touching and whimsical, and I'm really excited for it. I love when a guy like Martin Salim can come out here, hands trembling, voice trembling, tell us about this game that he was inspired on a family vacation. It looks great. It's one of my most anticipated games coming out of this press conference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to give credit to him, because that must have been scary, going in front of all those media sharks. It wasn't the fans. Like, because I was like, yeah, man, you get him. This game looks awesome. So it wasn't us out there. So great for him. And yeah, he said that part of what he wanted to get at with this game was kind of tying all the pieces of a person's life together. And I love that, and that sense of wonderment, that kind of childlike beauty that you can see in the world and you can see in the game is awesome. I want to feel that way again. I want to play this game. Yeah. Platformers with puzzle elements. You're speaking my gamer language.
I know. You're speaking both of our gamer language here, man.
Right? Like, I want to play this game. Absolutely.
No, it very much reminded me of the first time the guy from Hello Games and No Man's Sky, when he was on the VGX, like the Game Awards when he first announced No Man's Sky, or when he's on stage for PlayStation 2 years ago, just like trembling like a leaf in the wind. But it's so great because they have these great ideas and these big ideas, and it's really cool. But speaking of sharks, I just want to mention this closely. The CEO of EA has a serious image problem.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see that guy, Andrew Wilson? He looks like the devil.
Yeah, he does.
He looks like the devil.
Oh my gosh.
If the devil were to take human form, he would be Andrew Wilson. And then people had this funny tweet that they showed off Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which we won't really get time to talk to, but I'm really excited about that. It's this kind of prequel to Mirror's Edge. And they showed the main villain from that. And no joke, Andrew Wilson looks identical to
Google
the villain
this image.
from
It's
Mirror's
amazing.
Edge Catalyst.
Google it. You owe it to yourself to see
Oh,
this.
man. Especially with how likable Shuhei Yoshida and Adam Boyes and Phil Spencer and Peter Moore and Yves Guillemot, and how likable and nice all of them feel. Andrew Wilson is just like this dagger. I don't know. He's got some image problems. And so it's good that Unravel could try to soften some of that edge.
Yeah, man, Martin Celine is like the antidote you need after seeing him on stage.
But then again, after Unravel, we got literally Pele telling a story for half an hour, so EA had some pacing problems.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give credit where credit is due to you here. You predicted the EA conference wouldn't suck, and like a man, you did not give yourself points for that.
Nope. The EA conference is terrible. You were even calling me out on that prediction. You were like, that can't be a prediction. Of course it's not going to suck. It was a prediction because I was way wrong. Okay.
Yeah, man. Well,
let's move on.
I appreciate that you manned up. I apologize. I don't mean to be using gendered language here. If Alex were a woman, I would be saying he womaned up and like a woman.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear there.
Oh, man. So another exciting game. Okay, I swear I'm not a PlayStation fanboy, but I am a PlayStation fan. The game that almost was game of the show for me, if Last Guardian weren't there, my game of the show would be Horizon Zero Dawn. This game looks phenomenal. We've known that Guerrilla Games, which is the studio that has produced Killzone for Sony for so long now, has been working on a new IP, and they as my prediction said, they revealed their new IP here for the first time, Horizon Zero Dawn. It's this open world RPG. It's in as the developers described, a post-apocalyptic world. Something has happened to old humanity, us, that we lost all power. Our cities went dark. They faded. Nature has completely taken over again. The whole world is overgrown, and humans have moved back to this nomadic, tribal, small village kind of thing. But because it's in the future, the world is overrun by these gigantic robotic animals that look like dinosaurs. And this is an open world RPG. You play, I forget the protagonist's name, but you play this female protagonist.
Who looks
she's
awesome.
She does look awesome. She's this crafter and huntress. And there's a lot that they're not going into, like how the story progresses and where the old humans went and how these robots took over the world. But in the demo they showed, they gave this great little introduction to the story, which had me sold immediately. The way they describe that story sounds awesome. I'm 100% on board to this world that they created already. And then they showed her hunting some of these, like this herd of looked like robot deer, and then this giant like robot T-Rex came in, and it was all about like this third-person kind of shooting mechanic. It's a third-person RPG. Where she's like rolling around and she fights with a bow and arrow and exposing these weak points and using a gun that fell off this dinosaur to attack it, and just it looked. You have to watch this demo. This is so ambitious and exciting, and really in the AAA space especially, unlike anything I've ever seen. There's so many big ideas here that we've only been seeing big ideas like this from like the indie side, but to see it on the AAA side, this is a completely new IP. There's a female protagonist, which is awesome. Like, I think it really can't be understated that E3, it's another kind of one of my takeaways, but E3 2015 is where you can really start to see the small steps that the industry has taken together to have more representation in games, and that's awesome. But I'm so excited about Horizon Zero Dawn. Fliss, what do you think about it? I guess I haven't even heard your thoughts about this IP. This is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, coming in 2016.
Yeah, we talked about earlier in the show how I said 2016 might be the year that pushes me to buy a PlayStation 4, and Horizon Zero Dawn is a big reason. That it is so rare for a movie trailer, let alone a game trailer, to have moments that genuinely make me gasp. And yeah, this did it. There's this amazing point. You talked about the giant robot T-Rex that comes in, and there's this amazing point where she's going in for the kill, and she has to target this like glowing heart thing inside the machine, and it just made me feel in awe, because not only did it look incredible, not only was it just so atmospheric, not only was I completely invested in just watching this fight, but also thinking about how would I play this game. I could immediately tell, like, I have to attack that. It was there. Like, it was beautiful.
They made it very obvious. The cues they showed is like, it was very clear what points you need to attack, where do you need to go, and just the variety of weapons too. That looked like she had some shock arrows, some explosive arrows. She had this like tether gun, which allowed her to tether the giant dinosaur thing to the ground to make it trip over and fall. And like we said, there's contextual weapons, and so she knocked off one of this like cannons that this T-Rex had, because it's still a robot after a while. It's not going to just try to whip you with its tail. It's going to try and shoot rockets at you. She blew that off, and then she used this disc launcher and shot it at the whatever. We keep calling it T-Rex. I heard the developers, they don't want to call them dinosaurs, but they look like freaking dinosaurs.
They're robot dinosaurs.
But they're robot dinosaurs.
Yeah, and one of the things I really want to talk about is that one of the reasons I'm really excited to play this game is because it looks like it's going to be so atmospheric, and it looks like they're pulling all kinds of things from different places. But one of the things that I immediately thought of when you're talking, she kind of gives you this narrative introduction, and you see some of the other tribes, and one of them, like, they still kind of seem to have a little bit of technology, like they've got some elevators going up to their cities, and it looks like they're definitely pulling inspiration from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that's awesome, because that's a series I like, and to be able to exist in a game world that is even pulling a little bit from that just seems so cool. And so it just looks like there's so much great stuff that's coming together in this game, and if it delivers on the promises that it made in this trailer, then yeah, it's going to be amazing.
this protagonist is basically bow and arrow wielding Korra.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it looks great. I wish we had more time, but we want to keep things moving. But I'm really, really excited about Horizon Zero Dawn. One thing I want to note too is I really like when open world games have you play as a character. I'm still very excited about playing Witcher because people love it. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. But a lot of times in open world games, you're just a blank slate, and I like that you play as this character and you have a story to engage with. So I'm excited about that. Fliss.
Okay, so we can move through this one pretty quickly, but something I'm really excited about, it showed us nothing groundbreaking, but it just looked great, with Star Wars Battlefront. Oh, man, that gameplay looked so good. So good. Like you're on Hoth, you're running around as a rebel, it shows you Imperial gameplay, like, you can pilot TIE fighters, you can pilot, land speeders, you can pilot snow speeders, you can pilot all these other things. It looks like really great objective-based first-person shooting, which is something that I really like. I don't really like just plain old deathmatch, where you're just running around and shooting each other, a la Call of Duty. So having objectives, having map-based stuff that works, I really like that. I was very skeptical at the beginning when they were saying, oh, you can kind of power up to become like Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. They showed some of that in the trailer. It looked awesome. It looked like it could really, really work in game.
Okay, let's talk about that moment where you are in the viewpoint, I think, as either a rebel or an Imperial trooper, and then all of a sudden you see a wave of guys just, like, fly off because they've been obviously force-thrown by either Vader or Luke. It's crazy.
I think you're mixing up two different points there that were awesome, though.
Oh, whatever.
One of them is you're a rebel soldier, and you're running through this trench, and you see, like, this guy from the other side, and he's, like, firing one of your buddies, and you just see him rise up into the air and, like, grab his throat and then, like, fall down dead. And you turn over to your right, and there is Darth Vader, and he just right then ignites his lightsaber. And it's just, like, this amazing, moment. And just incredible. Really cool. And then the other moment is when you're playing as Luke, and you just, like, force blast, like, 4 Imperials out of your way. It's so cool.
No, it looks like ultimate wish fulfillment. Again, I'm much like you. I'm not like into, at this point, again in my life, I had a phase where I was very much into competitive first-person online shooters.
Yeah, you did.
I'm not so much in that. I'm not so much in that phase right now. But I was a skeptic for Star Wars Battlefront because everyone's like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited! This is gonna be a huge game. It's the best game of the show." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, it looks fine. It looks like Battlefield, but Star Wars, which I guess is what people want. But after watching this trailer, it's like, it looks like a lot of fun. Like, all of the way things look, the way all the vehicles are going around. Obviously, they've got the musical score from, like, John Williams blaring through there. I don't know if that's going to happen in actual gameplay, but I hope so, because that's cool. They've got all the perfect sounds of the laser blasts and the lightsabers, and it just looks like crazy, like, fun. They also, in other demos, showed, like, this kind of horde mode where you're fighting waves of stormtroopers and stuff. It just looks like it puts you in the worlds of Star Wars in this kind of fun way. So, actually, kind of converted me. I was a skeptic, and it looks good now. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to pick it up, but it looks really cool.
Well, and they've announced that they're kind of trying to set the story mode after Return of the Jedi and before The Force Awakens, which I think is an interesting choice. I kind of like it. I like the idea of moving on and maybe, giving us things that might tie into the movie a little bit. Hopefully not too much, though, because that would kind of suck if you're not playing the game.
Because it comes out like a month or so before the movie anyway.
So, but it, like you said, it lets you exist in the world of Star Wars. It looks like a lot of fun, and actually, this is a game that I want to play. It's a game that I want to play with other people online, kind of when it's popular, and so this might actually be the one.
If you get a PS4 and Battlefront, I will buy Battlefront, and we can play together.
Oh, you make a compelling offer, my friend.
I will play with you. I will play. Because, I haven't played a first-person shooter in a long time. Online, at least. Man. Not since Killzone Shadowfall, back, like, 2 Christmases ago.
Oh, man, that means that I will only suck, like, 8 times. Whatever you do.
Whatever. We'll play Stormtroopers. You're just role-playing. We'll always play as the Imperial side.
Hey, man, my armor's designed to get me hit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but this guy, I want to tell you, when this guy was in his first-person shooter phase, man, he was tunnel vision. Just nothing but first-person shooters. Really hardcore about it. I imagine a lot of those skills are still there.
Oh, I still got it. I still got it.
All right, man.
I mean, if Justine's gonna watch me play, playing match after match of first-person shooter is not the best thing to like to
Why
watch.
doesn't she play with us?
Yeah, because we can't do split screen, both play online. They don't allow that in these high fidelity graphic games no more.
They don't?
It's a shame. A game I am excited about called Battleborn, which we probably won't have that much time to talk about, does allow for split screen, so I'm excited about that. Companies, you should really make more split screen, like bigger kind of co-op experiences or shared screen, because I really am always clamoring for them to play with Justine. But that's just a side note.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm a big couch co-op fan, and I think it opens up so many more opportunities when you let me and my buddy who's sitting next to me play online together. So please consider that.
Because there's a lot, there's a lot of couch competitive experiences,
right,
which are great. I'm glad that indie, especially other than Nintendo, the indies have taken over on Xbox and PlayStation to have this. And then there's also some like indies taking over the couch co-op, but a lot of it is like just most of them are just like co-op platformers and stuff, and that's fine. I enjoy platformers, but I want a variety of these co-op experiences. So one of the best co-op experiences I played like last year or 2 years ago was Diablo 3. I played that co-op with Justine. We had to share screen. That was awesome. So anyway, that's a tangent. Star Wars Battlefront looks really cool. I'm a mildly converted skeptic of the game. It looks to be fun above all else, and really, when I look for a game, there's a couple of things I look for, and one of the chief things I look for among games is fun. And if this game is just fun and pretty, I think for the most part it could succeed.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in not pre-ordering things. I'm a big believer in waiting for reviews and waiting usually about 2 weeks after the initial reviews come out and reading about a game. So please continue to be smart about the way you consume games and the way you buy your games, but I'm pretty hyped about Battlefront, and if it delivers on the promises that it made in that trailer, then there's going to be little stopping me from getting my hands on it.
Well, if there's a game that gives you reason to pre-order, Fallout 4, holy crap, that's the game that is going to convince you to pre-order
Yeah,
this.
wow, they are pushing you for it, aren't they?
Did you see that collector's edition?
Oh man, that's amazing. A Pip-Boy that works with your phone? Holy moly.
A Pip-Boy. They designed a phone app for the Pip-Boy, which is like your in-screen menu. And Fallout does things really cleverly. Like it's an RPG. We'll get to it in a second. But basically your character has this little arm attachment. Like it's basically, imagine a giant wristwatch, which has all their stats and their menus and stuff on there. And you pull it up that way when you're in-game. But smartly it designed like this app that you can put on your Android or iOS phone. But if you buy the collector's edition, you get like the frame of his Pip-Boy, and you can put your phone into it.
Incredible!
Oh my gosh!
Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it?
If that weren't, I'm sure. I don't know. No, I didn't. Where would I ever wear that stupid thing? I mean, it's awesome.
You work at a lab. You could just wear that to your lab and like sit there cackling over your experiments, man. Just find a few tubes to bubble.
My lab coat wouldn't fit over it. Oh gosh. But it looks awesome. I don't know. Is it even still? I assume if it was released, it's probably already sold out because that's crazy. But anyway, Fallout 4. I think coming into it, Fallout 4 was gonna be one of those games like the game of the show. I called it in our prediction episode. I thought pretty much hands down Fallout 4 was gonna be the best game, the biggest game at E3. I had since been proven wrong. I think. The Last Guardian, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Uncharted 4 all did a very admirable job at stealing a lot of that spotlight from Fallout 4. But I still think Fallout 4 is among the top 3 or 4 games at E3. What they showed was huge and amazing and impressive. They went through... The guys at Bethesda are so smart. In their demo, they showed the character creator, and it starts with you and your wife, or you and your husband standing at a mirror, and you go to the mirror and you change your face there. Like, that's their character creator. Like, how awesome is that? You don't just have the separate screen where you have to, like, play with all these sliders. You're, like, in the game already. But then, it's funny. You're, like, looking at your face in the morning. Oh, is this what I look like? No. It's, like, stuff like that is so clever. But they announced that you're going to be able to play a little bit before the first bomb that leads to, like, the fall that we know. And you wake up, what is it, like I said, like 100 years later or 200 years later. And so... I feel like this is later. I don't know the lore so well, but I think in the chronology, this is probably later than Fallout 3. So the Wasteland really has this culture, and people have made it their home. The people who've gone to the surface away from these vaults, and everything they showed looked great. So you get to play before that. Your protagonist now speaks, and they've got dialogue trees, which is interesting, kind of a way to build up your character a little bit, make it more feel like you, giving them like dialogue options and being able to hear voiceover. They showed the gunplay looks great. They have a way more detailed crafting system. You can build your own houses and defend houses from raiders, and it's a huge open world, and there's a ton to do, and everything looked great. It looked like Fallout 4. It looked like the game that you would want to see. And then, like I predicted, they dropped the bomb. Guess what? Everything we've shown, you don't have to wait so long. Fallout 4 is coming November 10th, 2015.
Yeah, huge drop right there. Really, big impact on everyone at the show to just drop that, like, hey, here it is. And, part of me was like, oh, that's so cool. Part of me was just like, oh, Alex is getting so many points for this.
Yep. Oh, come on. When their first trailer was like looked like in-game footage, that game is close to being done. And clearly it is.
Yeah, and definitely really, we were critical of them at the time for creating their own news cycle by giving us these previews ahead of E3, but after all the other stuff that was announced at E3, they actually look pretty smart about stealing kind of that pre-E3 hype train.
Yeah, maybe they knew that, like, if they... Well, even just in a self-contained fashion, it makes sense now because they get people. So now the big announcement coming out of their press conference isn't that Fallout 4 exists. It's that Fallout 4 exists and it's coming out this fall. Whereas they would have a lot of work cut out for them to say, hey, Fallout 4 is real and it's coming this fall. Because then it's like you're mixed between, am I more excited that Fallout 4 exists or am I more excited that it's coming out this fall? And then also, maybe they knew that Sony especially was pulling out some big guns. Because, I love Fallout 3. I'm excited for Fallout 4. But several other games are vying for this game in the show now. Just because, how do you beat The Last Guardian?
I can just imagine somebody at Bethesda getting a memo that was just like, you didn't hear from me, but The Last Guardian is real and it's coming to E3. And just be like, go now! Release! Tell them Fallout 4! Somebody put a trailer! Make me a website! Let's do this! It's go time!
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, for all that said, the game looks great. It looks exactly like you want from a Fallout game. I know you haven't played them, Fliss, but they're so much fun. It's I don't know if you've played Skyrim or anything either, but it's basically like that. But the world feels so much more unique. Part of I think Skyrim's problem, which I know I touched on, I don't know if it was last time or time before, is that it's very much traditional kind of fantasy-y. They're all. But Fallout 4 is its own beast. It's a wasteland, so I know a lot of people do post-apocalyptic, but it has its very own clear, unique sensibilities. It feels distinctly Fallout. It doesn't feel like a Mad Max or a whatever else. And it's great.
Yeah, and one thing that I really want to say is awesome. They mentioned this in their demonstration, that their character creator is based on the engine they used to design all the NPCs for the entire game. And that's awesome, and it's so cool that you can play as a male or female character, and it's awesome that you have complete freedom to make your character be whatever race or ethnicity you want them to be. So
yeah, none of this Animal Crossing thing where to keep your character black, you have to constantly go to the island and keep them tanned.
Right, and one of the biggest controversies surrounding The Witcher right now, right, is that there are no people of color in that game, and
at all.
So we're talking about something where you run around as a dude who can shoot fire from his hands, and people are talking about how it's unrealistic to have a black character.
Well, because it's based on Polish lore and stuff. Polish lore, dragons and griffins are okay, but
yeah,
a single person of color, now you're just talking crazy. Right. Now that disrespects Polish cultural heritage.
Reverse racism, y'all.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay, anyway, but moving on, they're doing it's so cool because that's something that I think takes some effort on the part of the developer to be aware of and to put into the game to give you that freedom, and they took the time to do that. It should be a standard. It's sad that it's not a standard, but I want to praise them for doing that, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be playing as a female character, absolutely. Every game I get a chance, I play as a female character, because whatever, it's fun. I'm playing a game. Why do I have to play as a dude? I don't want to play as a dude. I see my dude self all the time in the mirror and all that crap.
Well, I mean, you could try playing as a handsome dude.
Oh, for the folks listening in, I'm extremely handsome, so that's why it was funny, because,
I'm going to let this silence sit here.
No. Oh, man. Well, if you were to check my blog, my About Me, there's a picture of me that I think I'm looking pretty swole.
Photoshopped.
So...
Clearly photoshopped.
Yeah. Oh, man. So let's get into a couple of smaller stories. We can just touch on them. Games that I thought were kind of interesting and important. Recore was a game that was shown at Xbox press conference. It's a new IP. It's very exciting for them. Unfortunately, unlike some of the other new IPs, they didn't show enough to get people as excited, but the talent behind this game looked great. It's got Keiji Inafune of Mega Man fame, also of Mighty Number 9 fame, which is coming out in September. And it's got a bunch of guys from the team at Armature, which are former people who worked on Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime games are great. It's exploration, and there's mechs, and there's action, shooting, combat. I feel like it's probably going to be some weird mix of Metroid Prime and like maybe Legend of Zelda and other stuff. It looks cool. It's an Xbox exclusive. It looks like a great pickup. I'm excited for Recore, but only so excited because I'm probably never going to own an Xbox.
Well,
but it looks great.
I'm glad. While we're still talking about Xbox, I want to talk about Cuphead. I mean, wow.
Yes.
I don't think there was a single minute and a half, like just any 1 minute and a half that got me as excited as the trailer for Cuphead. You know, it's a shame that it's going to be Xbox and PC only. Please, please, please let it run on my little laptop. But awesome looking, great aesthetic, rocking that kind of, mid to late 40s, 30s style animation. To me, it looks like stepping into a Looney Tunes cartoon, the early original ones, which is just awesome. It's definitely an aesthetic that Skullgirls was rocking, but playing Cuphead, yep. I won't feel like a pervert. So that's nice.
No, Cuphead looks great. If you check out my blog, theimpactfactor.blogspot.com, I wrote a piece, just a perspective piece on some of the games that I thought had the biggest impact, and Cuphead is one of them. That game is unreal. Like, watching the footage, you're like, what's gameplay? What's, like, an animated cut? I can't tell. What? Like, the game looks great. It looks like they just pulled footage from, like, a 1930s, forgotten and kind of dark Steamboat Willie cartoon, and then put a controller in your hands and, like, you pretend to play it. But no, the game looks crazy. And that's awesome. Studio MNDR, I forget their full name. They've really accomplished something spectacular. This is the most visually striking game I've ever seen. Like, show this to a non-gamer, I don't think they would believe you to say, like, oh, this is a game you can play. Right now, when you see these characters jumping, that's because someone's making them jump.
Yeah, it looks just so crazy. Fast and so awesome, and what a beautiful aesthetic to run with. Very cool. Yeah.
So Dreams Media Molecule announced their new game. Golf claps to Fliss. He called that.
Thank you.
It's crazy. Even the way it looked and the way it was presented felt like a dream. It was ephemeral. It was baffling. It was beautiful but eerie. And we're gonna see more at Paris Games Week. I don't understand.
If you have any idea what was happening in that trailer and how that's gonna transfer over to gameplay, please tell me. Send me a message on Twitter. Email us here at the Impact Factor the Impact Factor podcast, or Impact Factor podcast. I'm getting our email address here.
Man, you're rough, man. You don't do these intros enough.
Ooh. Anyway, email us at whatever our email address is, and
check the link below. Check the description below.
Yeah, don't listen to me. Just click on it. We know that's what you want to do anyway.
Man.
But it looks exciting, but I have no idea what's happening in this trailer.
Is it a game, or is it just a game creator? Is it like Mario Maker on acid? I don't understand. Like, the demo they showed where they were just making, like, a guy sitting in a chair, but then in, like, the trailer they showed after, there's, like, some people flying on a bird and doing some other crazy stuff, and it's clear that what they showed as their tech demo when they first announced the PS4 with, like, these two puppets dancing, that was obviously part of this Dreams game. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I want to know more. I'm intrigued. It's like a dream. Like, I even kind of forgot what I saw, but I remember how it felt. And so maybe that's what they were going for, but it's weird. But I want to see more.
Yeah, absolutely. Could not agree more. Really weird. Has the potential to be totally awesome. Can't wait to see more.
But speaking of a game that was totally awesome, how about that Uncharted 4 demo at the end of Sony's press conference?
Whoa, that was incredible.
Yeah, it was the Uncharted 4 standing simulator. They had to reboot it. No. I mean, I really liked that. It gave a kind of feel of authenticity. You never really know when a gameplay demo, I'm using quotation fingers here, gameplay demo is real or faked. But clearly it was real, at least at first, because when they booted it up, Nathan Drake was just standing there, looking around.
Not doing anything.
But then they either went to a backup or they did backup, which was a pre-recorded playthrough. I'm not sure if it's known for sure, but whatever. Obviously, they tried to run it for real on the stage. It looks great. It looks like Uncharted. It's less exciting because I know what to expect, but at the same time, knowing what to expect makes me excited because Uncharted games are great. And from everything that I've heard, this was just the first half of the E3 demo where they showed the press conference. This is the second half that they showed behind closed doors. And every single person I've heard coming from behind closed doors is like, oh my god, the second half is, the first half is just a lead up to what's awesome. And so that gets me really excited because I thought that demo was exciting enough.
Yeah, man. And, especially with the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection coming out here, there's never been a better time to get excited about Uncharted, to get into it. You can marathon them if you wanted to. Just play 4 Uncharted games in a row.
Yep, just do it. So it looks awesome. I'm excited about it. Let's touch a little bit briefly on the Nintendo stuff.
Okay, so
Fliss, about Star Fox Zero.
Star Fox Zero, yeah. Here I'm jumping the gun here because I have such intense mixed feelings about what I saw of Star Fox Zero. You know what? You never left your R-Wing, or you never left a ship, an R-Wing type ship, an R-Tank or whatever. You never left one of those.
That's good, right?
That's a good thing, but every time they held up the Wii U tablet controller to, use as an aimer or, magnifying glass or, whatever, I was just like, stop! You were doing what I wanted you to do, and then you just messed it up.
And then you can transform, but the transformations look weird. Yeah. And I don't know if this is, the final version of the game. I was watching, a gameplay demo after their Direct, and honestly, the ground the textures look like GameCube PS2 era. They look terrible. The game looks bad.
The graphics just left a lot to be desired. And, usually I am a total pain in the butt about graphics. I love beautiful games. But for a Star Fox game, if it had great gameplay, I'd be willing to settle for so-so graphics. And if it had amazing, mind-blowing graphics, I would settle for somewhat so-so gameplay. But so-so gameplay and so-so graphics is an absolute no. No way. No, that's not what I want.
It didn't make me excited at all. I
don't
know. Maybe it's just me. And there's no online multiplayer. They announced that.
What is this,
so
2006?
Nintendo, quite confident, quite happy to stay in the mid-2000s.
Shaking my head.
I don't know. I mean, it was great to hear Miyamoto's inspirations behind the original Star Fox. That was really cool. And hearing him talk design and inspiration was amazing. But
that was a treat. The game that came out of all that design and inspiration looks like it will not be a treat.
Yeah,
I still might,
know.
if they come out with a really nice amiibo, maybe I'll consider buying that.
I'm sure there'll be amiibo. I'm sure. And then one of my predictions that has really actually got me excited was that there would be a Wii U price cut. But nope, no Wii U price cut. People, I think, I was talking this through with you, Fliss, and with Justine a little bit, and it makes sense. I really, really wanted a price cut, at least to $200, or maybe even to $150. But the Wii U, they realize it's dead. At their Direct, they showed, 3 games maybe for the Wii U? That's it. It was all 3DS games. They're like, nah, we don't want to make high definition games. I was like Mario Tennis, Ultra Charge, Animal Crossing, Amiibo Festival, and Star Fox. That was it.
Yeah.
And Yoshi's Woolly World. Four. I forgot.
Well, and we've touched on this podcast before, but just how excited I was about Snap Map for Doom. It just shows you how Mario Maker is a game that is a feature, not a game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's why I didn't include it as a feature,
not
a game. It looks, the Mario Maker levels look
sweet.
Yeah,
they looked great. But they were the best part of the incredibly boring Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah.
But
I guess Nintendo realizes that the people who are going to buy Wii U's at this point are going to buy a Wii U, whether it costs $150, $200, or $250, which is what it costs right now. And so, yeah, that's why there's no price cut. Because, hey, if you're going to buy the Wii U, they want every single penny they can get out of you.
I do actually intend to buy a Wii U, Alex.
Yeah, 5 years from
after
now?
the NX comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, the NX is going to suck. So, just got to pick up that Wii U for, dirt cheap. And then whenever they come out with the next crappy system they do, I can buy my NX dirt cheap.
Yeah, and none other games have online functionality anyway, so hey, you're not missing out on anything.
And we'll always be happy to play Mario Party together, when we get together.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't need online for that.
That's true. Square Enix had a good conference too. I thought they showed a Kingdom Hearts 3 demo, which was awesome. I didn't necessarily expect it. Goofy did in fact lie. No release talk at all.
Oh man, I was so hoping.
Stupid prediction.
They started showing Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff, and I was like, "Come on, release date! Come on, give me that stupid prediction for the win."
Of course not.
Give it to me. Nope.
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 Nope. Nope. But the Kingdom Hearts 3 gameplay, it looks like they adopted a new aesthetic. It's kind of a mix of this kind of more painted, kind of watercolory mix, but with high definition. But they hinted at a bigger, more freely explorable world, which is good because one of the main complaints about Kingdom Hearts 2 is that it's pretty linear. And they showed fast action combat, some crazy finishers. They announced that Tangled is going to be a world in it,
which is cool.
And they showed me what I wanted to see from Kingdom Hearts 3. It's okay, take your time. It looks fun, fast, colorful, and action-packed, which is just what I want from a Kingdom Hearts game. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to playing it when it comes out, and the aesthetic looks like it could really work, and exploring Tangled could be a lot of fun. So very cool. Alex, you like to talk about kind of a theme for each E3, a kind of game type that kind of dominates the show. Did you have one of those with this show?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this. Each E3, there's like the thing or the game that really the game genre that really you see everything for it. In past years, it's been the first-person shooter or the third-person shooter. I think some years it's like motion-controlled games. Last year, I don't even know what it was last year. It was something I can't. It's I'm a little bit too far away from it. But here I'd say this year's theme was the hero shooter, which is a mix of kind of the MOBA concepts of working together, like having very specific, very highly stylized, highly designed characters, and a lot of them, but then mixing that with a first-person shooter mechanic to like either do competitive stuff. So like basically the hero shooter that existed before any hero shooters was kind of Team Fortress 2. Because even though it's like more classes, whereas heroes move away from the class mechanic, they kind of each have their own mechanics. They do similar things, but with different people. Whereas Team Fortress 2, they're very like defined in the roles. But Team Fortress 2, they have like the personality of the characters.
And I imagine that these games
so
will follow a similar path as Team Fortress 2, where they will eventually just be hat simulators with gunplay.
Yeah, exactly. But we saw, unfortunately, we didn't see anything more from Overwatch and Blizzard.
Which I really wanted to see.
I know, come on, what the heck? But that's like going to be a huge hero shooter. They showed Gigantic, which is this Xbox One, Windows 10 cross-play hero shooter, which looks kind of cool. Had this weird kind of cel-shaded art. Battleborn from Gearbox Studios is a game I'm really excited about. It's I love playing Borderlands games with Justine. I'm really excited to play Battleborn with her. There's this game Dirty Bomb, which looks like a hero shooter but more realistic or more like set in the real world. But yeah, it's hard to see, like, when you think about this, like, which one of these, especially between Overwatch, Gigantic, and Battleborn, which one of these is going to win out, or are they different enough to stand on their own? It's really hard to say, but MOBAs are obviously a growing field. Everyone wants in on that sweet, sweet MOBA money, that sweet, sweet MOBA crazy fashion, but not everyone likes the clickfest, as one of my friends described, the boring clickfest that is a MOBA, like your standard traditional MOBA. Shout outs to Patrick who gave that comment. But yeah, so they're taking a genre that they know people like, the first-person shooter, and introducing these hero elements.
We should probably, full disclosure here before we get attacked by MOBA people, that we've been spending like the vast majority of our game time over the past 2 weeks playing Heroes of the Storm.
Well, I don't know. That still might get us attacked by MOBA people. But yeah, I've been enjoying Heroes of the Storm much more than I expected. So
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited about these kinds of games. I really enjoyed Team Fortress 2. I loved that game. We've talked about that before. I really like the different heroes. I like the way they can the things that brings to a game, the personality, the storytelling that you have just in the little fun, itty bitty videos on YouTube that introduce characters. I love that kind of goofy stuff. So hopefully these games will all be different enough that they're real different experiences within the same genre. I'm not confident about that, so it should be a real fight to see which one becomes dominant.
Especially the first three I mentioned, Overwatch, Gigantic, and Battleborn, they all have a very kind of similar Pixar-y, colorfully vibe to them.
Again, copying off of Team Fortress 2.
And so I think exactly. I think Overwatch is going to be fine. I think it's going to be successful because Blizzard has fans that they have gamers that only play Blizzard games, which is kind of crazy.
And Blizzard builds its own self-contained universe, right? So
Exactly, but I'm worried about the other ones. Unless I hear really negative stuff, I really want to play Battleborn because I love the Gearbox design mentality of how they kind of go about stuff and how they really are supporting split screen co-op and shared co-op experiences. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the future of that. But then, Fliss, there was one thing that really struck us as the future.
Yeah, man, the future. The future is holograms. That's what it is, man. Or should I say HoloLens. What a proof of concept demo. Holy moly. Talk about something that stepped right out of a sci-fi movie. That was incredible. I mean, playing Minecraft with your hands as it is projected in front of you, amazing.
That's crazy. You could zoom in and out. It's on your table. You can mark locations. You have to watch this HoloLens demo, folks. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is so cool. And, no word on price or when it's going to be released, but what a cool idea. And, I am a huge VR skeptic. I am not excited about Oculus Rift. I'm not excited about Project Morpheus. I'm not excited about that stuff. But HoloLens just got me excited with this demo.
Yeah. No, we were talking about this earlier. VR, I think, is part of the future of gaming. I think it's going to be something that always exists, but I think it's going to have its niche. It's going to be expensive. You need a lot of work to design experiences that work well on it. And I think not everyone is going to want to do that because it completely cuts you off from the outside world. There's going to be that motion sickness problem. I'm excited. I'm interested in picking up a Morpheus if the price is right. I'd like to try it. Virtual reality is obviously something that we were growing up. We thought we would have.
And I'm really excited to try out Project Morpheus on your Morpheus.
Yeah, exactly. But this augmented reality, or AR, with the HoloLens, that feels like not only the future of games, but like the future of human evolution. Like, to be able to wear this piece, I mean, they're going to have to make it smaller and like less, like you have a giant piece of hardware on your head. But can you imagine just like, we walk around your living room and you could just like make a web browser pop up on your wall as you're moving around and it can just stay there. Like, even if you look away, when you look back, it's still there. You could browse email that way. You could browse Twitter that way. You could watch YouTube videos that way. You can make Minecraft appear on your coffee table and play like that. Like, it's crazy. You could wake up and put it on, like, what's the weather out look like? And that your app could pop up there. Like, it's so cool. There's so many potential things with that. I didn't think that HoloLens would be the thing that got me most excited about VR and AR, but screw VR. That's just small. AR is what I'm excited about now. And that HoloLens demo, if it's not like completely faked, that's awesome. That's so crazy. That's so cool.
Yeah, if there is even a little bit of reality in what they were doing, if that is any kind of real potential for something that we could be doing, then yeah, absolutely. Sign me up. I am there. That looks awesome.
So yeah, watch The Last Guardian, watch Horizon Zero Dawn, watch some Fallout 4 gameplay, watch maybe the Doom trailer, and absolutely watch this HoloLens trailer.
Also, yeah, watch The Last Guardian. Definitely do that. Don't miss The Last Guardian trailer. Check out the HoloLens,
awesome.
And do watch the Doom trailer. It's worth seeing. It's short. It's worth your time.
I guess we can get to this to a different time, but Street Fighter V looks awesome. Let's just say this. Let's mark it in our show notes. I really want to get to Street Fighter V. We're going to talk about this next week because this is big. They didn't really announce much in terms of content or characters, but they talked a lot about mechanics, which I know is something you and I are going to nerd out about. So let's put a push pin here. People tune in next episode, The Impact Factor episode 8. We're going to talk Street Fighter V news from E3, but we're running out of time, so let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, we would love to hear from you guys in the community, you guys and gals in the community, the news items you thought had the biggest impact, especially what you thought was the best game at E3, what was cool trends from E3, anything like that. So please feel free to shoot us an email at impactfactorpodcast@gmail.com. So now, briefly, let's put things in perspective.
Perspectives.
So perspectives is part of the show, well, when any number of things can happen. In academia, it's when investigators share their opinions with the community at large. Here, it's a revolving section where we experiment with what's worth discussing. So, today, we're just going to go over our E3 prediction scores. All right. Drum roll, please, Fliss. All right. So, for any of you who know, we made the Impact Factor made a huge list of E3 predictions last episode. Fliss graciously created a Google Sheets tallying all of our scores. We made bold and crazy predictions. Bold predictions were worth 1 point. Crazy predictions were worth 3. I tallied them up as I was watching all the press conference, what we got right and what we got wrong. And because I made more predictions than Fliss, because clearly I can't limit myself, we adjusted the scores based on the percent right that we got. So first, let's do first, because this is gonna make Fliss feel the best. So the total percent of guesses that I got correct was 46.7. So about half. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then Fliss's total percent correct was 43.7. So very close. I had 47% roughly, and he had 44% roughly. So I'd say overall we did pretty darn good.
I feel great about that.
Pre-adjusted scores, I ran away with 22 points. And Fliss had a solid 14.
The Ubisoft conference, man. It destroyed me. I took like no points at Ubisoft. Ugh.
But then, the final adjusted score, I finished E3 2015 with a score of 10.3 to Fliss's 6.1.
A solid victory, my friend. Very well done.
Thank you so much. I'll be gracious. And you suck, you suck, your prediction suck.
Go jump off a bridge.
Basically, I mean, honestly, it's just I got two more crazy predictions right than Fliss did, and 3 points is gigantic. So that's
yeah. And I think next time we do this, we'll have some stricter rules to keep ourselves from. Well, of course, what really happened is that as we were going through this, I think both of us realized, oh man, there's so many ways we could have gamed this system. Like this is what happens when you get two gamers trying to compete against each other. We're just like, oh man, there's some loopholes here we could exploit.
Yeah, some loopholes. Yeah, one of Fliss's crazy predictions he got points for was that Yoshi's Woolly World looked good. How is that crazy?
That was absolutely crazy.
Worth 3
Saying
points?
that Nintendo will do anything right is crazy. Tell me I'm wrong.
Okay, you're not wrong. Yoshi's World could have looked like crap, but it looked great, so I'll give you that point. Anyway, that's it. That's our folks. Thanks for following along. I know a couple people were checking out. I was posting the link to our sheet on Twitter during the press conferences. I got a lot of people checking into that, so that was awesome. Thanks for following along. I won this year. Let's see if next year Fliss can both be here for the coverage. Maybe. I know you're still probably going to be in Japan, but and then going through. Let's see if you can tie it up next year. E3 2016.
Yeah, man.
So we're gonna do this very briefly, but let us go into our experimental methods.
Experimental methods.
In experimental methods, Fliss and I talk about the video games we've been playing recently. No papers or pipettes, cells or census, just our words. We look at what works, what doesn't, and what we're looking forward to testing. So, mainly we're going to talk about Here's the Storm again. I apologize, we're going to move on. We're not going to be like a podcast where we talk about the same game every week. But one of the things we wanted to bring up was this idea of team leaders. So Fliss, introduce the folks. We've been playing Here's the Storm together whenever we can. It's this Blizzard's attempt at the MOBA genre. We've been enjoying it, but there's something that's kind of arisen as a theme in a lot of our games about team leaders. So tell the folks what we wanted to talk about here.
Well, in Heroes of the Storm, you have two teams of 5 playing off against each other, and we've been mostly playing in quick match because we haven't leveled up high enough to unlock anything like any of the team leagues or hero leagues or anything like that. But as we've gotten to higher levels and we've been sorted more accurately with people of similar skill levels, we've noticed that there's a real problem that games tend to go back and forth, and you kind of run up against a wall of similar players, and the team that ends up winning is the team that has better team cohesion. Real surprise in a team game. The problem is that,
surprise.
And that's good game design. We should say, it's a team game. You need team cohesion to win. But the problem is that, as my brother described it, it's like herding cats. And so getting people to follow along is difficult. And so it really helps when you have a more experienced player who's able to get the team together to say, do this, meet here, let's go here, let's do this next, let's push here, let's retreat here, and kind of keep a team cohesion going. And I know that this is true for me. I imagine this is true for you, Alex, too, where I have not felt comfortable assuming the mantle of that leader. For one thing, I don't know enough about the phases of the game yet to really push it. And one thing that I want to kind of harp on here, I'll probably get called out for this, but one of the problems is that people will just not lead, but criticize in the chat. and
Yes,
say like, "Oh my god,
absolutely.
guys, we've got no team cohesion," or "So and so is not doing so well." And yes, I have been that so and so who's not doing so well. And yes, there have been games where I have played not so well. But the problem is that if we're not helping each other in the game, all we're doing is making each other more nervous, reducing our enjoyment of the game, and actually reducing the chance that we're going to win the game. So if you think...
Yeah, come on, guys. If you play with Chipmunk, this dude's had to put up with a lot of flaming. I don't know. I've been pretty lucky. I've had either silent or supportive people I play with a quick match, but you've gotten flamed that I really don't think it's your skill level, man. I think we're pretty close to being on the same skill level. Maybe this was Justine's theory. Maybe because I play support, me sucking is less obvious because I'm just healing people. But there's no excuse for people flaming you. I guarantee you're not doing that bad. And I agree. People are much more like, "Oh, why'd you freaking die? Why weren't you at the objective?" Well, tell me to go to the objective before. Obviously I know to play the objective, but sometimes there's someone who's trying to fight me, or I'm trying to capture a siege camp or something, or like, because we're still both, I'd say, especially in terms of MOBA, because people sink hundreds and hundreds of hours. We've probably sunk what, maybe 30 hours at most, 25 hours. Into the game, and so I know what to do, and I generally know the phases of the game, but I don't know the exact moment that it's the best time to capture boss, or the exact moment that we need 3 people on one Sky Temple and the other one, and 2 on the other, or when we should all go to try to take one, or when's the best time to push a fort, And so if you have that experience, it's so helpful just to be like, "Hey guys, let's capture objective. Hey guys, let's push bottom. Hey guys, there's someone on top. Can someone warp back and stop their push?" Just something like that. Just little things like that. It makes it so much of a difference.
Yeah, so if you're frustrated with the way your team is playing, don't try and say, "Well, I'm a better player," and push down on the other players in your game. Try to raise your whole team up. This is great. We can tie this full circle with our discussions about basketball earlier in the show, where what made Michael Jordan such an amazing player is the way he brought up the play of everyone around him. And LeBron is an incredible player, an amazing athlete, but he has not done as good a job of elevating the play of those around him. So take the next step as a MOBA player and do what you can to elevate the play of those around you. For one thing, I really want to get better at the game, guys, so help me out.
Come on. Me too. Oh, so yeah, that's it for our experimental methods. We're going to be playing more of that. Unfortunately, I was trying to get some great time in with Fliss this weekend, but he's going to be traveling, shooting some hoops.
Hey man, we still might be able to squeeze it in. Let's not give up hope.
Yeah, we still might. Still, my Sunday morning or Sunday night. We'll see. But that does it for our show. Fliss, take the folks to the outro.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you got to see E3. I hope you had as much fun as I had seeing E3, because obviously, I had a great time. Almost as great a time as Alex did. But please keep in touch with us. Tell us what you loved about E3. Tell us what you're excited about in video games. Give us some comments about the show. You can find me at the CFliss on Twitter. That's at THECFLISS. Also, check out my blog, Fliss of the North Star, for my thoughts on pop culture, Japan, and more. This week, I talk about the Nintendo World Championships and how they show that video games aren't necessarily moving in the right direction when it comes to becoming real good television entertainment. So check that out. Tell me what you think. Hopefully, you want to see video games become really good TV entertainment too. And I think that there's some great ways that they can do that. That's flissofthenorthstar.blogspot.com. Come on and hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. His stuff is well worth reading. I'm really looking forward to, more people reading that piece. I think it's a good one. But thank you, everyone, for spending some time with us. E3 2015 is now done and gone. It's so exciting. I've live tweeted the event the past 2 years, but this was the first time that I did live tweeting, and I did my day end recording my spoken thoughts and impressions about the press conferences as a part of the Impact Factor of this podcast and a part of the Impact Factor of my blog. And it really meant a lot for me, the people who were talking with me on Twitter, who were favoriting my tweets, and who checked out any of those episodes. It really means a lot because I love talking about this stuff. I love using the skills and the tools I've developed as a scientist and using them here to talk video games with you all. So please, 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 please communicate with us more. I would love it. So if you're hearing this now, chances are you found it on our SoundCloud, which is soundcloud.com/theimpactfactor. Please look us up on the iTunes Store and subscribe to get direct downloads of each new episode each week. You can just type in The Impact Factor, and we pop up as one of the only podcasts there. Rating us and leaving a review would really, really help us out and really hopefully help other people to find us. And that's the way you get featured and spotlighted on iTunes too. So if you take any of your podcasts through there, so please do it. For an archive of our old episodes, check us out on YouTube by searching the Impact Factor video games or checking the link in the description to our channel. That's where I posted my Day 0, Day 1, and Day 2 impressions of E3 2015. I sit down, have an intimate moment with my mic, share with you guys my thoughts and passions and what I thought was the best news from each day. So the Impact Factor podcast is an extension of my blog about video games, theimpactfactor.blogspot.com. Normally, check there every Tuesday for a new review or article, and every Friday for my curation of the best written pieces from the world in gaming. This week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I posted my recorded thoughts about E3 Days 0, 1, and 2. You can check those out there. And on Thursday, I hope you all can check out, I wrote briefly and featured a couple of the games that I thought had the biggest impact from this E3 2015 and thinking about the game of the show. So check those out. Those are some of the games I really wanted to spotlight because they really stole my attention, really captivated me, and broke through the noise of E3. So give those a look. I think they're going to be important games in the months and year to come. So please send any comments and suggestions for the podcast to impactfactorpodcast@gmail.com. Don't listen to what Fliss said earlier. It's impactfactorpodcast@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, where I did my live tweeting, at Alex Samocha. That's Alex S-A Mocha, like the coffee. And until next time, make an impact.